He's going to talk about what is a customer success manager and share how a day in the life of a customer success manager looks like. Hello, my customer success friends. Today we have Tom Kasha, who's the strategic customer success manager at Tricentis, and he's going to talk about what is a customer success manager and share how a day in the life of a customer success manager looks like. Hey, Tom, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Ari. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Before we start, I'd like to remind everyone, subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the great videos that we produce on customer success. How long have you been a customer success manager?
I have been officially a CSM for, I'd say, the past 10 years now, but in a customer-facing role in several different capacities for most of my career.
Today, you work at Tricentis for almost 3 years, right?
Yes. I am a strategic account manager. I have about more than 15 accounts totaling about $3 million in ARR, so on the strategic enterprise level.
So, being high touch with 15 accounts, that's on the higher range for a customer success manager to customer ratio in terms of what we call a high touch. Above 15, it's almost starting to be less than high touch. So that's quite a lot of accounts to be in a high touch mode. What does high touch means to you in your world, having 15 accounts to manage?
It's being really efficient with your time. And it takes a little while to establish a cadence or get comfortable with a cadence for your customers where you can still help them achieve their business outcomes, but then also work with them on a cadence where you can be proactive and help them achieve those goals.
Who in the organization do you typically begin establishing relationship with? Who's important for you, and who do you typically end up having those cadence calls with?
I mean, ideally, it's always best to start at the highest level that you can. So either the C-level or someone on the executive leadership team. And you generally, if you get that off at the handoff, fantastic, great. But sometimes over time, then that gets transitioned to a more of a software or business owner. And usually those are QA leads or testing managers that help with the testing or the overall center of excellence piece within the organization.
Okay, so just to back up, your software is sold to QA teams or testing teams, correct?
Yeah, ideally at the CIO level, helping with digital transformation, but then it usually filters its way down to the QA leads and the testing teams, correct?
So you're managing about 15 accounts, and you're saying that one of the most important things is to know how to prioritize and then develop a relationship with the C-suite. Usually hopefully you get the handoff from the sales rep or the previous CSM to have those C-suite level relationships established. What do you do when there's a new C-suite level at the organization, or you just got handed off a new account and unfortunately the person who handed it off to you did not have the relationship or just failed to have that handoff done in time? What are some of the things that you have done in the past to create those relationships?
As best as I can, if I can get the help of the account exec to get in or get a foothold in the account outside of the newer person, that's always best. But if it's someone newer in the C-suite or the previous champion left without really any transition, I reach out to either an end user or someone else, usually within Gainsight. We have a couple different contacts that were established in the pre-sales phase, and I'll reach out to that person, get a name or a contact who would be or who would best be the newer person, and I reach out to them right away to establish either a hello introductory call with or without the AE, and then establish a cadence moving forward.
What other activities do you typically do during the week? And can you elaborate? How do you prioritize what to do first?
Generally, at the start of the week, I'll take a look at the different accounts that I'll have set up for calls that week. And then I'll always going back to their initial strategic outcomes that I've outlined, usually at the beginning of the relationship or the engagement with them. And I'm always making sure that we are tracking to those business outcomes. So I'll put a plan in place once I see those calls on the calendar to see how we're measuring up, how we're stacking up, we're progressing with those outcomes. And then I will work or spend most of my time that week putting together plans or strategic calls or initiatives with folks, whether it's cross-functional, the folks within my company, or reaching out to other people that can help them or assist them within the organization to help get us to where we need to be and back on track.
Excellent. So who in your company do you typically interact with, given that this is a higher touch model, to implement any kind of success plans or strategic plans you have jointly created with those customers?
The first cross-functional team would be the services team. A lot of the time they are engaged that help with onboarding and adoption with our enterprise solution. So services, also the account exec, any solution architects or sales engineers that were involved initially with a proof of concept, and then helping post-sale. So marketing, management, my CS leadership management. We also segment our renewals from just a specific CSM. So we have renewal specialists that I work with. So reaching out to them, if there's anything they need in terms of lead up to the renewal. So lots of different departments to work with cross-functionally.
If you had to pick 5 activities you absolutely had to do with every customer every year, what would those be?
Success plans, making sure that it's collaborative first and foremost. Number one, identifying their business outcomes, because they can change over time, especially if you're managing accounts from one year to another or a new champion. They can have different initiatives or outcomes that they're looking for from your solution. So reestablishing those business outcomes is number one. Number two would be building those success plans to help enable those business outcomes. 3, establishing regular cadence calls to keep both sides accountable.
What about executive business reviews?
So that's something relatively new from a Tricentis standpoint. We're looking to establish beginning at the end of this quarter. So looking forward to working cross-functionally. And it'll generally be the account execs and some services leads to help with those EBRs. It's not just particularly or singularly CS led on those EBRs.
And I think it's very important to distinguish that this is typically the case where, one, the solution is highly technical, which I believe yours qualifies.
Mm-hmm.
The company has been in business for many years. And so traditionally, they will have the account executive also function as the account manager and own the commercials. Would that be?
That's correct. Same with Tricentis. Correct. We segment or put it as a charter that the sales account executive owns the overall account relationship, and then the CSM works strategically with that AE to make the success plan actualized.
In that type of world where the account executive owns the responsibility for the commercial success of the account and the product is highly technical, would you say that the CSM in that function, there is a solution architect, there is a technical account manager potentially too, then the typical CSM would be either very consultative. What would be the KPIs, the key performance indicators, or the key metrics in which you believe you're really setting yourself up to be successful? How do you measure your success? It can't be the renewals. That's like really the primary KPI for the account executive. Is it the level of product consumption, or is it the ROI? If you could quantify it, that the customer is getting, the number of use cases? What would you put in that scenario?
It's a mix of all those things. It's very important to be strategically aligned with the customer. And we work with our digital transformation team to help build ROIs as early and as often as we possibly can. So that's really important. Another KPI we look to beyond just the renewal, though, is the overall expansion opportunity in the account. We want the customer to achieve an ROI as such that they're not just happy or prone to renew. They also want to expand. Our platform has multiple different solutions to help. So as best as we can, if they start with a singular product, it's really the charter of the account exec and the CSM to move just beyond that initial solution to really help the customer with their digital transformation across the platform. So the main KPIs are beyond just the renewal is to really expand and leverage the full solution set of the platform.
So from a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it in a business model such as your company, Tricentis, to be, the CSM would be product savvy versus a consultative strategic role with business savviness and acumen working with the customers?
I would think in my role, it's a little bit, I would say it's more either 60-40 or 70-30 for the consultative role than more of the technical focus of the product expert.
Okay, so with 30-40% understanding of the product, its functionality, the different modules, how do you catch up? You're not per se technical person in background, right, Tom? Certainly not an expert on Tricentis.
Certainly not an expert. It didn't come into the testing space as an expert by any means. But to answer your question, I'm always outside of work or even within a normal business hours scheduling time to become more product savvy, either within our own documentation. We have what's called an academy team within Tricentis that is always continuously putting out fantastic content. So leveraging the academy content, leveraging our own support portal, and then also going outside of just the Tricentis content to collateral within the testing space to continuously, with that growth mindset, looking to expand my knowledge and skill set within the space. It's something that I continue to do, have done throughout my career, and I would highly encourage anyone within the CS field to not just be heads down, focused on your customers all the time, which while that's important, but also your own personal knowledge of the product and the customer base as well.
Very cool. And on the 60-70% of being consultative, if someone actually has good industry experience and they're well versed with the product and they become a customer success manager and they need to hone in their consultative skills, is there a book, a class, or anything that you do on a regular basis to really get better at that? What would you recommend others that are watching this video and hoping one day to become a strategic customer success manager?
I think it takes a couple of things. I think it takes time being familiar with customers at that level. So a little bit, some tenure there, but also beyond that, really just reading, being an avid reader, information junkie, always looking to read and learn as much as you can, whether that's customer success specific books, which I leverage. The customer success practitioner book that was just recently is great. And not just anything specific to customer success, anything sales related anything that you find that has crossover into your day to day, leverage that, read it, consume it. It's only going to help you.
Thank you so much, Tom. It was such a pleasure talking to you as always. Guys, hopefully if you're looking to become a customer success manager, hopefully this video gave you a little bit of a flavor and a taste of what a customer success manager that owns 15 or between 12 to 20 accounts, sort of like on that higher range of that high touch looks like in a more traditional company. So hopefully that helps you out. Great success in your career. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and smash that notification button so that you get access to all of our videos as soon as they come out.